Welcome back to the Big Lad Podcast. Today, we're diving into a subject that's raw, real, and frankly, overdue. We're talking about men's mental health in the UK. It's a conversation we need to have, and we need to have it now. I'm sure you probably haven't heard that June is Men's Health Month and Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Something for me that doesn't get enough attention or push that it should. Let me hit you with a stat straight away. In 2023, over 7,000 suicides were registered in the UK, and around 75% of those were men. That means, on average, 19 people a day are taking their own lives, and most of them are blokes. Suicide is the leading cause of death for men under 50 in this country. Let's just let that sink in. I don't know about you, but I know of at least 5 people that have taken their own lives, each one of them being a man. And for me, that's 5 too many. We pride ourselves on being tough, on cracking on having a laugh through the pain, but when being a lad means staying silent when you're struggling, it's not bravery. It's dangerous. It's killing us. This episode isn't about the doom and gloom. It's about honesty. It's about smashing the stigma. And it's about giving every man out there the language and permission to say, I'm not okay. Whether you're struggling yourself, supporting a mate, or just want to understand what's really going on behind closed doors, then this episode's for you. Let's talk about the phrase we've all heard, man up. It's said as a joke, a bit of banter, but it sticks. And don't get me wrong, there are absolutely times where we should man up. But from the time we're young lads, we're told to brush it off, toughen up, stop crying, and keep it together. And over time, that becomes a belief that showing emotion makes us weak. But here's the thing, it doesn't. Feeling things deeply, being overwhelmed, struggling, that's part of being a human. Bottling it all up, that's the killer. This man up mentality is woven into everything. You see it in schools, on the pitch, in the pub, in the workplace. There's an invisible pressure to always be fine, to be the provider, the protector, and the one who doesn't need help. The problem is, emotions don't vanish just because we ignore them. They fester, and when you don't have the words or feel like you're not allowed to speak up, it leads to isolation. It's no wonder so many men hit a breaking point without anyone around them even noticing. We need to start redefining what strength actually means. Strength isn't about pretending you're invincible. It's about reaching out, being real, and saying, I'm struggling, without the fear of judgment. That's bravery. And if you're listening to this thinking, yeah, but it's not that bad, remember, someone you know is dealing with this right now. They might even be sitting next to you. Let's get into the numbers, because they don't lie. They paint a grim picture. In 2023, 7,055 suicides were registered across the UK, 75% of those being men. That's about 5,300 men who took their own lives. In England and Wales alone, there were 6,069 suicides, and the highest rate was in men aged 45 to 49. Think about that. It's not just young lads, it's dads, husbands, mates, colleagues. Men are also far less likely to access mental health services. Only around 36% of NHS psychological therapy referrals are for men. That means that even when the help is available, many aren't reaching out for it. Why? Stigma plays a massive role. There's still this underlying belief that men have to be the strong, silent type. Vulnerability is seen as weakness, and asking for help can feel like admitting defeat. But it goes beyond that. There's a lack of awareness about what mental health issues look like. Depression in men often shows up differently. Irritability, anger, fatigue, and even physical pain. It doesn't always look like sadness and tears. Add to that long NHS wait times, lack of competent services, and a feeling that talking won't help, and you've got a perfect storm for silence. These numbers should shock you, but more importantly, they should move us to action. Because every stat is a son, a brother, a mate who thought there was no other way out. Let's dig deeper into how mental health struggles show up in men, because if you don't know what to look for, it can be easy to miss, even in yourself. While sadness and withdrawal are common symptoms of depression, men often display their pain differently. Here's some ways that it might look like. Anger, getting into arguments, drinking more than usual, taking risks or engaging in reckless behaviour, trouble sleeping or constant fatigue, feeling numb or disconnected. And here's the thing, a lot of this behaviour gets brushed off. He's having a tough time, he's being a bit moody, but these can all be signals of internal chaos. Many men don't realise they're depressed because it doesn't look like what we see in the media or even in mental health campaigns. They think, I'm not crying every day, so I must be fine. And then comes the guilt. The guilt for not being the fun one anymore. Guilt for snapping at loved ones. Guilt for feeling like a burden. It builds and builds, until it feels like the only way out is to disappear. This is why we need to get better at recognizing these signs, not just in others, but in ourselves. It's not weakness, it's illness, and it's treatable. If anything in this section is hitting close to home, please take that seriously. You're not overreacting, you're not being dramatic, you're being human. So why don't we talk? Why, when we feel like the walls are closing in, do we still keep it to ourselves? It comes down to fear. Fear of being judged, fear of being laughed at, fear of being seen as weak or incapable. From a young age, boys are taught to be the rock. You're not allowed to cry, not supposed to be scared, never meant to ask for help. That carries into adulthood. And by the time we realise we need to speak up, we've trained ourselves not to. There's also the myth that talking won't help. What's the point? It won't change anything. But that's not true. Talking helps the process, to relieve the pressure, to make sense of things. It's not about solving everything in one conversation. It's about starting. Then there's pride. Especially for working class blokes, there's this sense that you have to graft, get on with it, and suffer in silence. Vulnerability feels like a luxury you can't afford. But let me say this, your pride is not worth your life. Talking might feel awkward or uncomfortable at first, but it could literally save you. It could save someone you care about. We have to break the silence, start small, talk to a mate, ring a helpline, send a message, open the door. Once you start, it gets easier. And once you realise you're not alone, everything begins to change. A huge part of changing the story around men's mental health isn't just about what the individual does. It's about what their mates, families, and partners do too. We all have a role to play. If someone you care about is struggling, you don't need to be a therapist. Sometimes you just need to show up. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, I'm here and I'm listening. I recently saw a video on social media about men's mental health, so I decided to drop all the lads a quick text and just ask how they were getting on, had a quick chat about what they'd been getting up to, and if they needed anything, that I was there for them. Keep an eye out for subtle changes. Has he gone quiet? Started drinking more? Cancelled plans again? Don't just brush it off. Ask the question, are you okay? But ask it twice. The first time, they might say, yeah, fine. But the second time, they might tell you the truth. Be patient. A bloke might not open up straight away. Don't push, but keep the door open. Let them know you're not going anywhere. And don't underestimate the power of the small things. Sending a meme, inviting him for a walk, asking for help with something. These are tiny gestures to say, you matter. Avoid cliches like man up or others have it worse. They're not helpful. Instead, focus on validation. That sounds rough. I'm glad you told me. You're not alone. And if you're worried someone might be suicidal, ask them directly. It won't put the idea in their head, but it could save a life. If they say yes, support them in finding professional help and don't leave them alone if they're in crisis. Let's normalise checking in. Let's be the mate who makes it okay to not be okay. Therapy isn't just lying on a couch and talking about your childhood. It's about learning to understand yourself, manage your thoughts, and cope with life challenges. It's problem solving with someone trained to help. The NHS offers psychological therapies through services like the IAPT, which stands for Improving Access to Psychological Therapies. And while wait times can be long, it's worth getting onto the list. There are also private options, as well as charities offering low cost or free support. Some brilliant organisations out there are doing life-saving work. There's Calm, the campaign against living miserably, Samaritans, Mind, Andy's Man Club, Movember. These aren't just helplines, they're communities, safe places where you can say what's on your mind without being judged. Online therapy and tech support are also great for men who find it hard to talk face-to-face. And group sessions, like those run by Andy's Man Club, can show you that you're not alone in what you're feeling. Therapy is not a last resort, it's a tool. Just like going to the gym or eating better, you don't have to wait until you're at breaking point to ask for help. If you've never considered therapy before, ask yourself, what's stopping me? Is it pride, fear, cost? Now weigh that against your happiness, against your life. Suddenly, it doesn't seem like such a stretch. Let's wrap this up by imagining a different kind of strength. One where a man is allowed to feel, to break, to rebuild. What if we created a culture where talking wasn't taboo, but expected? Where how are you was asked and answered honestly. Where lads in the pub could talk about real things, not just the score or the weather. It starts with us. The conversation doesn't have to be dramatic, just real. Start with your circle, open up, even if it's just a little. The more we normalize vulnerability, the less shame there is. We also need to change from the top down. More funding for mental health services, more male-specific campaigns, more safe spaces. But culture doesn't shift overnight. It shifts one conversation at a time. And here's something you need to hear. If you're struggling right now, there is help. There is hope. Things can get better. You're not alone, even if it feels that way. Being a big lad doesn't mean carrying it all. It means knowing when to ask for help. It means checking in with your mates. It means living, not just surviving. So let's break the silence. Let's redefine what it means to be strong. Let's save lives, starting with yours. Thank you very much for listening to the Big Lad podcast. If this episode meant something to you, share it, talk about it, reach out, and above all, keep the conversation going. If you enjoyed this one, please drop it a like. If you're new, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.